My name is Bill Rubo. I am a prep parent of two sons, the son of a senior and the son of a sophomore. I am the vice president, my wife and I are vice president of the Parents of Prep Association Executive Committee. And we're pleased that everybody here joined us today for the Father-Son Communion Brunch. I'm very excited to introduce our guest of honor, Steve Spiewak. Steve is a 2003 prep graduate, a Bayonne native. Following prep, he graduated from Loyola University in Chicago. And today, Steve is with Max Prep. He's a high school sports journalist with a focus on football. And Steve continues to support prep through participation in the summer immersion programs. So some of the students here today have been on immersion programs with Steve. So we thank Steve for joining us and we welcome him.
Greetings. Thank you for having me. So I was the best man at my college roommate's wedding last month, and I had to give a toast. And my motto heading into that was, you want to say something memorable, but not too memorable. You don't want people talking about, can you believe what that guy said? So I will stick by the same credo today, and hopefully, share some thoughts, but not make it into the P-Trock on Monday. I was going through my email and saw the note from Sister Francis. I wanted to confirm the time that I was speaking today, and I saw a note from Sister that I missed. It said, let me know if you need a projector. I sure hope I don't need a projector, Sister. I have about a page of notes here and no media, audio, video, so hopefully that'll do. But so my name is Steve Spiewak. I graduated in 2003, and then from St. Peter's I went to Loyola University in Chicago, and I studied theology there. And I now work for a company called Max Preps. So my senior year at Loyola, CBS actually acquired our company. So I started working for Max Preps out of my dorm room when I was a junior. And CBS paid $43 million to acquire our company, and it made very wealthy men of the people that started our company. And I was on the outside looking in there, but I had a full-time job with CBS once I graduated from Loyola and began covering high school football. Excuse me. So I'm the national football editor. I'm basically sort of an expert on top high school football teams, top high school football players, things of that nature. I do national rankings. I've done some TV stuff. Pretty fun, pretty unique sort of niche. With a theology degree, I never thought I would be doing this, but it's something that I enjoy every day. I was recently going over my resume, trying to update it. I hadn't updated it probably 4 or 5 years because I've been with Max Prep since 2006, so I haven't really been looking for new jobs and things like that, so I decided, maybe I should give my resume a refresher. And as I'm sort of going up top and updating sort of the big professional achievements that I've done and things along these lines, the bottom of my resume keeps getting pushed down, and I have one line on there that says, St. Peter's Prep graduate, and I just refuse to remove that from my resume. That's going to stay there because it's something that I'm extremely proud of. It's difficult for me to articulate how much this place means to me. It's such an honor, Sister. Thank you again for having me speak. This is a tremendous honor. This place shaped my life in so many ways. I did not know what the gospel reading today was going to be until earlier this morning. My father came back from Mass, and I asked him, figured I should know that because I'm speaking today, and he told me it was the Transfiguration. I remember sitting in Doc Scavilia's class as a sophomore, and one of a very specific memory I have from my education here at Prep is discussing the Transfiguration, and Doc Scavilia describing it as an aha moment, a light bulb going off. Jesus recognizes, Elijah, Moses, Jesus, the recognition of what Jesus is called to do, who Jesus is, and sort of that recognition by those around him. And when I look back at it, guys, my 4 years at prep was sort of that transfiguration. I didn't realize it at the time, but those 4 years helped me realize who I was called to be, where I was called to go. And so I think a lot of you here are seniors, and how apropos that in the gospel we hear Peter say, this is so great, Lord, look at this. Let's set up a tent. Let's stay here. And when I was a senior at prep, and even long before that, I didn't want to leave. I loved it here. It's great coming every morning. You see the same faces. You're sitting in the cafeteria. You're on retreats with guys that you really care about. You're winning state football titles. You're barbecuing before games. You're having a blast. Why do we want to leave, right? Well, let's stay here. If we can just freeze this moment and stay here forever. But obviously that can't be. And eventually you have to move on. But my time here, as I mentioned, transfiguration for me really created the foundation for those next steps for me. The relationships I have, the feelings of brotherhood that you guys have now, those are feelings that I still have with guys that I graduated with in 2003. So that bond, that connection, that loyalty, that love, those are feelings that are as strong for me now as they were when I was in your shoes. So when I see guys that I went to prep with, when I see my buddies, when we get together, it's like I want to capture that moment. I don't want it to leave. I don't want to move on. I want to stay in that moment because it's so special to me. And so again, I imagine a lot of you guys, especially the seniors here, are in that phase where we have to move on from this place. I have to leave this place. But this place is the foundation, guys. Your fathers are here with you today. They obviously have laid a foundation for your faith and for your life. They're taking the time on the Sunday to help nourish your faith, to spend time with you. They've helped build a foundation. Prep has built a foundation. And that'll help you after you leave these doors. But guys, it's a challenge, okay? When you leave, you're going to be tested, right? When you go to college, when you go to your professional life, how are you going to respond? I saw a tweet from a guy that I went to the Romero Center with. So that's, as mentioned earlier, I help out on some of the immersion trips. And I saw a tweet from a guy that I helped chaperone, and he tweeted something along the lines of like, "Oh my God, it's Ash Wednesday, I'm not at prep, I don't know where to get ashes." And it's sort of a silly little thing, but the reality of it is, prep academically and theologically may challenge your faith at times, but this whole community supports and nourishes your faith. And when you leave these doors, sometimes you're in environments and you're in communities where you don't have that. It goes from being sort of a passive experience, guys, to an active experience. Right? Ash Wednesday, Holy Days of Obligation, you guys are rounded up into the gym, you have Mass, you participate in that, you get your ashes, you have retreats, you sort of just go through the process that prep has set up to help lay that foundation. But when you're in college, when you're in the workplace, it's not like that. You have to be active. You have to build on that foundation. You have to seek out, where do I go to Mass on this campus? In the summer, are you going to get up on Sunday, go to your local parish? When you're in the professional world, are you going to make that effort? It's a very, very different experience. But it's my hope that it's something that you guys have been prepared for by your time here. So with my job at Max Preps, I don't feel the same fulfillment, the same sort of community that community of believers, my friends. There are people, I love the people that I work with. I love the job that I have. I feel that God has led me to this job. So I don't feel like I'm doing something that is outside of God's will and God's plan for me. But at the end of the day, I'm writing about high school football. I'm not saving the world. I'm not helping to build God's kingdom. So that's why I've been involved with the immersion program here. That's why I volunteer in my community. That's why I'm engaged in my local parish, because if I just go about my business as a Max Preps employee, those opportunities to grow upon my foundation of faith don't come by naturally. In the professional world, in college, you have to seek those out. So guys, in closing, my hope and my prayer for you is that you recognize this moment, how transfigurative it can be, and that you allow this foundation to be something that you lean on in times of challenge, in times of growth as you get older. Don't drift from this, guys. This is not the be-all and end-all. This is a foundation for you to grow and build your faith as you move on from St. Peter's Prep. Thank you, and thank you again, sister, for the opportunity to speak this morning.
Does anyone have any questions for Steve? Anyone have any questions for Steve? Well, I do. I want to find out, did you watch the finals championship game?
So that was, we were doing a bachelor party for my aforementioned college roommate who was getting married. We were in the Wisconsin Dells in a log cabin with about 12 guys. And they were all gambling at a Native American casino, and I stayed back on my laptop watching the live stream.
And how great do you think Brandon Woodbush is?
Yeah, he's a very good player. Very impressive. Any other questions? Yeah.
I've got a question for you. Well, I remember Steve and I went to Loyola together. Some of you are younger than Steve, and we actually sat in a dorm room when they went in 2005. We sat in a dorm room and were getting calls from mine and his classmates that were at the game at the Meadowlands. But I always wonder, and I bust you about this too sometimes, like on emails, what is it like? Because I'm sure your coworkers know that you went to prep, and I always love reading your stuff, and you have to clearly stay impartial, where I'm sure you're like busting at the seams to just, write everything you want about prep.
Yeah, so it's, why be involved in sports if you can't be a fan, right? I mean, there's this sort of idea of, well, you cover sports for a living, you can't, show any partiality. And in my writing, I don't. If I'm writing a game story or a feature story, it really doesn't matter that I went to prep for that. But the reality of it is, on a Friday night, I'm watching prep score, the live score of the stream, and I'm hoping we win. Like, I make no bones about that. I know most of the other coaches at these other schools in North Jersey, Paramus Catholic, Bergen Catholic, Don Bosco Prep, and they all know where I went to high school, and they all know, who I hope wins the championship every year. But, so that, why be involved in sports if you can't have a team that you root for? So just because I cover it for a living, doesn't mean that I no longer root for prep, that's for sure.
What immersion trips were you involved in?
So I did the Camden immersion trip at the Romero Center for probably 7 years or 8 years. I was unable to do it last summer because of some work commitments, and it's sort of up in the air for this summer. But I was going into my senior year at Loyola. I don't even think I was 21 at the time. And I was co-chaperoning with Mr. Kellen Williams, class of 2000, I believe. And yeah, we had a good time.
What steps would you say somebody needs to take to become a sports journalist?
That's a great question. I would say just write. Even if you're not getting published, even if you're not getting bylines, just perfect your craft, become passionate about writing, and recognize the business aspects of journalism. I think we're all aware of sort of the struggle that the newspaper industry is in, and how new media is transforming so much of how we receive information and report on information. So I would say continue to write, but be mindful of the shifts in the landscape. So when I was in high school, maybe the goal would have been, I want to write for, this local paper or that local paper. Now, the goal might be, I want to write for this sports website or that sports website. And by the time you guys are graduating college, it could be, you know what, I want to just, have tweets that are, embedded on different sites or something. It could be a completely different platform, a completely different medium. So, write, and as you're doing that, be mindful of the changing landscape, because it's going to look a lot different probably by the time you're entering the professional world.
First, I just want to say thank you to Prep for sponsoring this breakfast as it's done for the past few years. As the parent of a senior, it's been a very special treat for me to be able to come here with my son and experience this, so thank you very much. For Steve, could you elaborate a bit more on why is it you think that God has you in the spot where you think you should be?
Yeah, so I have a degree in theology. I was going through Loyola. I had at one point sort of contemplated a vocation to the religious life, and I was looking for a summer job back here. This was going into my junior year of Loyola, and at that time, I was looking on Craigslist, which didn't have quite the reputation it does now. It was somewhat less skeevy, but I was looking for a summer internship, part-time job, and I saw an ad on Craigslist that said high school sports internet junkie needed. And I thought, well, I like high school sports. I went to a school that had a great high school football team. I grew up going to St. Anthony's games with my father. I love high school basketball, and I'm obviously active on the internet. So I sent an email and I said, look, I'm on my way to a theology degree. I don't have a lick of journalism background. I don't have a business, experience, but I'm really passionate about high school sports. I really feel strongly about them. And so as a junior, I began working for $50 a week managing Max Prep's MySpace page, which you guys may not even know what MySpace is, but that was the in vogue social network of like the mid 2000s. And so $50 a week, I was posting photos and things on MySpace, and I'm very confident that this is the path that God has led me on, because it is just in a lot of ways very non-traditional and very much not what I imagined. I think in some sense it would have been easier for me to graduate with a theology degree. My goal at some point was to come back and teach theology at Prep, and one day I would love to do that. But I think that my life now is not what I imagined, but every day I'm reminded of how blessed I am and how comfortable I am in my decisions, and I just feel that this is where God has led me. So, yeah, sorry, I hope that answered the question. It's hard to put into words, I suppose, but yeah.